What deals have you done to appease the left on AUKUS? How much is it going to cost you?
We're not doing deals. What we're doing is putting forward the arguments of why Australia needs to participate in AUKUS, why it's good for Australia. I put it very simply. Does Australia, as an island continent, need submarines? If the answer to that is yes, then what is the form of submarine that is the most effective? And quite clearly I've been convinced, and we've convinced, I'm confident, a majority of delegates that nuclear-powered, conventionally armed submarines are the most effective form of defence that Australia can have in this era in which we need to make sure that Australia can defend ourselves.
Haven't you promised 10,000 union jobs?
No. What submarines will do, being built here, is create jobs. This is good for industry policy as well. Just like the car industry drove advanced manufacturing in the post-war period, thanks to the vision of Chifley and Curtin, what this will do, this industry will do, is to drive jobs and advanced manufacturing in this century and the decades to come.
OK, you keep on saying how open and transparent this whole process is, but backroom deals are being done to avoid embarrassment, really. Don't you miss those old days of fights on the floor, Albo?
We're a mature political party and we're a party of government. We also have a great sense of unity and a sense of purpose. I feel it around this conference. I feel it when I go to state conferences and I live it every day around the cabinet table.
The CFMEU, they were successful yesterday, committing the party to corporate tax reform, quote unquote, a social and progressive tax system. So, are we going to see more tax on business?
No, but who doesn't support a progressive tax system? I support a progressive tax system, always have. We need to make sure that our taxes are progressive. That's why we have different marginal tax rates. That's why we have a system that ensures that we can provide the services that Australia needs in education and health and housing and other services.
You're not going to use this to wiggle out of stage 3 tax cuts though, are you?
We have not changed our position on stage 3 tax cuts. I've been very clear about that.
But your platform just changed.
A very clear statement of something that everyone in the Labor Party supports and everyone in the Labor Party has always supported, and I would have thought that everyone across the parliament supports a progressive tax system.
So the platform's changed but your position hasn't changed?
Our position has not changed.
So what's the point of the Labor conference then?
Well, what a Labor Party conference does is to establish a platform, the principles going forward. Labor governments determine the policy, the timelines, and the commitments that we will make in the lead up to the next election are just like the commitments we made in the lead up to the last election, ones we've been going through ticking off. Cheaper childcare, the National Reconstruction Fund, the Jobs and Skills Australia, the commitments that we made across the board to climate change, including net zero by 2050. What we've been doing in government is putting in place, one by one, in an orderly way, the plan that we took for a better future to the 2022 election. What we'll be doing in the lead up to the next election is outlining very clearly in the months leading up to 2025 what our plans are for a second term. And we do need a second term and beyond, because one of the points that I made at conference yesterday, and I'll continue to make in speeches over the next 2 days, is that you need a long-term Labor government in order to put in place in an entrenched way the changes that we need, just as Hawke and Keating's changes in areas like Medicare that now are entrenched into our political system, superannuation that is entrenched, the economic reforms that Hawke and Keating did. We're going through an economic transformation now with the clean energy revolution that's going on around the world. Now we need to make sure that we take advantage of that, position Australia with the opportunity which is there for us to go forward.
You've run a pretty centrist government so far. The left faction is now dominant at this conference. Are they disappointed in you? Do they want you to move further to the left?
Well, look, the Labor Party conference has 400 delegates. You'd be concerned if there weren't some disagreements amongst 400 people about the future. If you pick them at random, you'd have different views. There are not 400 Sky News interviewers, but there are different views amongst the Sky News interviewers as well.
There are.
So the truth is that what unites the Labor Party is the commitment to social justice, is the commitment to job creation, is the commitment to creating opportunity and lifting Australia up, is the commitment to engaging in our world, to peace and security and prosperity in our region. Now, all of those things unite the Labor Party, but the other thing that unites the Labor Party is that we need to be in government in order to put in place the policies into actuality, to actually deliver on commitments. We're not a party of protest, we're a party of progress. We're a party of delivery, not one that sits on the outside, like the minor parties do, wait for a decision to be made and then decide whether they have a protest or not. We actually want governments that sit around the cabinet table and make decisions. And I've been in Parliament for 10 terms now, 3 of them in government. I know the difference between government and opposition. And one of the things you've seen from my government and its ministers is that experience of the Rudd-Gillard years, where you have so many people who have served in senior roles, but also understand that the disunity that occurred, that helped to undermine the possibility of a long-term Labor government, meant that we spent then the next 3 terms in opposition. You are seeing around the cabinet table, around the caucus, that sense of unity, that determination to learn those lessons and put in place a mature, orderly, stable government, and that's what the Australian people are seeing put in place over our first 15 months, but they'll see that reflected as well in the way that this conference is conducting itself, but they'll see it as well into the next election.